What's going on, everybody? Back again today to make a video asking for you guys' assistance. Anyone who's followed my channel or pays attention to my channel, you know that I'm a toy collector. I like to collect figures and toys from the different stuff that I'm into, comic books, video games, stuff like that. I'm a huge DC fan also. I've talked a lot of shit on DC, various forms of DC on this channel, but I am a huge DC fan. I love DC Comics. I love the DC characters. And for the past 2 years since I really got back into toy collecting, I've been collecting 2 DC toy lines. Mattel's, I'm just going to call it Mattel's DC toy lines, 6-inch Mattel DC figures. They've had a couple of different lines, but they're all pretty much the same thing. Talking about Mattel's DC Universe Classics, DC Unlimited, DC Multiverse, all of Mattel's DC figures. They all fit and scale together. They're all pretty much the same thing. And then I've also been collecting McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line, albeit I'm collecting them and I'm being very, very picky about them. I'm not just buying every figure. And anyone who's paid attention to my channel, you know my opinions on McFarlane's DC Multiverse line. I think he's really dropping the ball, and I think that this line could be doing a lot better than it is if he would just get off the Batman hype train, and also just get off of not just even the Batman hype train, but just let's stick to doing figures based on current shit. Let's make figures from current movies. Let's make figures from current video games. Let's make figures from current comic book storylines. I think his multiverse line would improve infinitely if he just made it a general DC Comics characters toy line. And in doing so, improve the variety of characters that we get. Speaking of variety of characters, that is initially what drew me to Mattel's toy line. It's like, if anyone who knows, anyone who collects toys or collects DC toys knows Mattel's DC lines of figures, within all the different lines that Mattel made, they pretty much made a figure of damn near every single DC Comics character. There's a figure of. And most of them, I would give a solid B-, in terms of quality. They're pretty solid figures. They're comparable to Marvel Legends for the most part. They don't have quite as good articulation as Marvel Legends. Or I'm not going to say good. They don't have quite as much articulation as Marvel Legends. But in terms of overall quality, I would compare them to Marvel Legends, especially specifically the DC Universe Classics line. So I was drawn to that for the character variety. Now, I've been collecting them for the past 2 years, but the thing about Mattel's DC lines is that they're done. They're done and they're over with. Mattel no longer has the license to make DC toys, so we will never ever again get a DC Comics figure of a DC Comics character from Mattel. They're done. So. And then meanwhile, over here on the other hand, McFarlane has the license, and they're making more and more toys. They're not necessarily making more and more characters. So I've been collecting both, kind of like, okay, within my head, I'm thinking sooner or later I'm going to pick one to settle on. I'm either going to commit to the Mattel toys or I'm going to commit to the McFarlane toys. And I've been collecting both because I've been waiting to see if McFarlane ever pulls his head out of his ass and just starts making more characters. Because if I get the level of character variety in the McFarlane line that we got in the Mattel lines, then I will give up the Mattel lines and just go with McFarlane. They are arguably superior figures. They are superior collectibles. They are much more well made. They are nicer, generally speaking. It's just the character variety that's really holding them back. Well, we're about to enter year 3 of McFarlane having the license and making DC figures, DC toys, and collectibles, and I have not really seen much improvement in the character variety. It has improved, just not very much. There's over 100 figures in that line, in McFarlane's line. I want maybe about a quarter of them, maybe, to have in my collection. The rest of them I don't care about because they're too specific to some movie or some game or some comic book story arc. They're not just a solid traditional representation of that character. And that's all I'm really interested in. So, I cannot collect both. I don't have that luxury. And that's an amount of money that I really don't want to spend to collect both lines, especially because, like I said, since Mattel's figures they're done, they're not making anymore, it's a completely secondary market collection. I will have to buy all of them secondhand from other collectors who are selling them, like on eBay or Mercari, or find them at toy shows, flea markets, and the price is going to be high. Generally speaking, for a Mattel DC figure on like eBay, you're usually going to spend around $40, $45 per figure. Some of them go higher than that, quite a bit. Whereas McFarlane, if you're on top of the ball, if you're on the ball and you get to Amazon or whatever and you get the pre-order when it first becomes available, you lock it in, and especially if you have like Amazon Prime, you lock it in. You buy each figure for like $19.99, $20. So McFarlane, they're suffering from character variety. Or a lack of character variety. But the figures are arguably superior in quality. I'm not even going to say arguably. They are superior in quality. And they are better in terms of the price point in this day and age that we find ourselves. On top of that, while it is true that the Mattel lines feature pretty much every DC Comics character in existence. Not all. There are a few that never got made, but they have damn near all of them. Like I've said multiple times already, that line is done. Mattel will not be making anymore. So, from here going forward, if any new characters get made by DC, and they're cool characters, I like their stories and their backgrounds, and I want to have a figure of that character, this new character, it's going to come from McFarlane. It will not come from Mattel. Already I see this happening in the form of like a lot of the Justice Incarnate characters like Captain Carrot or Thunderer, the Gentry, the Nameless, not the Nameless one, the Empty Hand. I would love to have an Empty Hand figure. That dude looks sick. In terms of real current stuff going on in DC, the kind of the future state magistrate taking over Gotham storyline type stuff, Peacekeeper 01, I would really like a Peacekeeper 01 figure. All of these are examples of characters that from this point forward, if we ever get a figure of them, they are going to be in the McFarlane line. That's a big if, though, based on the level of character variety that McFarlane has shown us. But it doesn't change the fact that if we do get them, they will come from McFarlane. They will not fit with Mattel's. So if I do choose Mattel's line, I will be committing to a large variety of characters, but a finite amount of characters. What we've got now is all we will ever have. Whereas with McFarlane, even though he has not shown us he's interested in doing a large variety of characters, the potential is still there at least, whereas with Mattel it's not. So I'm torn because I kind of want to sell my Mattel collection and just commit to McFarlane for better or worse. Recently, there has been some slight improvement. I think overall recently, what was announced in terms of new character, we got a Dr. Fate, we got an Etrigan. It's not the version of Etrigan I would have liked. I would have liked a more traditional Etrigan, but whatever. We're getting better versions of Red Hood and Batgirl, in my opinion, with the Three Jokers line. We're getting a better traditional comic book Batman in the Three Jokers line. What else? There's a Lobo, Lex Luthor, some Batman Beyond villains like Shriek and Blight, Superboy Prime. So it does seem a little bit like he's increasing the character variety, but like I said, we're about to enter year 3 of him having the license, so it's not impressing me, the rate at which the character variety is increasing, but I will admit it is increasing. And I just don't know. I don't know if I should just, say fuck it for better or worse and, just put all my chips down, go all in on the McFarlane line. Or if I should go all in on the Mattel line. I don't know. Let me show, I have a video of my Mattel collection to show you guys, give you guys an idea of just how far along it really is. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Currently with the Mattel line, I've got Our Man, Lex Luthor and his armor, Red Hood, Batwoman, Supergirl, Superman. That's a custom Batman that I made. I love that custom Batman. Rebirth Wonder Woman, Classic Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Jon Stewart, KG Beast, Batwing, Alfred, the 90s Aquaman, Wally West Flash, Wonder Girl, Black Manta, Hawk Girl, and Orion. So that is my Mattel collection thus far. I'm not super deep into it, but I'm at the point now where before I go too much further with either line, I kind of want to go ahead and make a decision as to which one I'm going to commit to. So that's where you guys come in. I don't know what it is. Through YouTube, it seems like the toy collecting community out there, especially for superhero toys, is huge. I've never met another person in my life. I've never met, oh, that's not true. I have, but it's always been at like Comic Cons or toy shows. Just in my everyday life, I have never met another person who collects toys to the extent that I do. So I don't really have anyone to seek advice from on this. Everyone that I ask, they look at this issue completely from a monetary standpoint, and they go, the Mattel line is going to cost you more. The McFarlane line is readily available and it's cheaper right now because it's current at retail and on Amazon and shit. Go with the McFarlane one. But they lack that that toy collector aspect of their thinking. And anyone out there who is a collector, you know what I'm talking about. Like, we know what we want as collectors. We know what we want. We're very specific, and it's not always just about the money. It's about the toy line itself, and does it give us what we want to collect? So no one else in my life that I've asked about this can really give me a good answer. So that's why I'm turning to you guys, because this is where I find most of the other toy collectors. It's through the internet on YouTube. So that's pretty much the issue. I've explained both sides of it, the pros and cons to both. Mattel, we have a huge variety of pretty solid, good quality figures, but it's set in stone. We're never going to get any more, and any new DC characters that get created are going to come from McFarlane, not Mattel. But they do have a large variety right now. McFarlane makes objectively superior figures in terms of quality, and the potential for there to be a huge character variety is there, including new characters that get created from now into the future. But he has, during the 2 years that he's had the license, not really shown an inclination to make a large variety of characters. Which one should I go with? Should I sell the Mattel and just commit to McFarlane? Or Should I forego McFarlane and just stick with the tried and true and trusted Mattel, even though it is a finite amount of characters and figures? That's the dilemma. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments below. Help me out here and help me make a decision. Other than that, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Check out some of the other videos on my channel. Maybe subscribe. And other than that, I will see you guys next time.